faith in atheism. St. John the Philosopher here. Your worldview is kind of like a pair of glasses. Blackout, mirrored, or rose-colored, your worldview is the filter through which you interpret everything you see. And just like buttholes and bad opinions, everyone's got one. Now, despite the fact that most people haven't really thought about theirs and probably couldn't articulate it very well if you ask, it's arguably the most important thing in your life. So in a series of 3 videos, I'm going to explore 3 worldview categories as a long explanation of why I believe what I believe and how it informs my philosophy.
Hold on to your butts.
As long as there have been people, there have been the big questions. Humans have searched for the answers in the stars, through myth and legend. They've been pondered by philosophers, written about by kings, and boisterously discussed by commoners over wine, beer, sake, or whatever was available to loosen the tongue. Whether directly or indirectly, conscious or unconscious, everyone has an answer to the 4 questions. Where do I come from? Why am I here? How should I live? And where am I going when I die? These are the essential questions of origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Every worldview attempts to answer them. We test the veracity of those answers by ensuring that they are coherent, that they are consistent within the framework they present, and they correspond to the world as we observe and experience it. Atheism, or materialism,
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich!
Not that materialism, is the view that the material universe constitutes all reality, that there is no immaterial reality wherein lies the soul or gods or spirits or anything like that. Only that which can be empirically observed and verified is real, and all the rest is fantasy. Where did I come from? Atheists in general believe that all life, humanity included, is cosmic happenstance. That given the scientific laws, it was only a matter of time and chance for the first life to form and eventually produce a species like ourselves. Why am I here? This question presents the first shortcoming of this worldview. Many atheists recognize that without a purposeful origin, there could be no real meaning to the existence of humanity. In the words of atheist superstar Richard Dawkins, in a universe of electrons and selfish genes, blind physical forces, and genetic replication, some people are going to get hurt. Other people are going to get lucky, and you won't find any rhyme or reason in it, nor any justice. The universe that we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but pitiless indifference.
I don't care what universe you're from, that's gotta hurt.
But since people still do require a reason to endure all the difficulty and suffering that goes along with life, they need purpose. So atheism encourages people to find their own meaning, create it from whole cloth based on some combination of feelings and vocational aptitude. Perhaps you find meaning in holding on to your childhood, even through your adult years. Maybe you feel personally fulfilled by mutilating your body until it resembles a dragon or something. Sort of. Whatever makes you happy. The problems with this are pretty self-evident. Even if you find meaning in living your life by the truth that there is no God and you try to convince as many people of that as possible, as Dawkins seems to do, you're really just giving in to an evolved need to be certain about the nature of reality. Because if we are just meat machines dancing to the tune of our DNA, as the materialist story of our origin suggests, then even the idea of truth itself is an illusion. No matter what you choose to be your purpose in life, it's still meaningless. It's as much blind faith in a fabrication as any false religion. So there's that. How should I live? Well, if we're cosmic accidents with no purpose, how we live is irrelevant. But if you do manage to come up with some purpose for your life, then I suppose you can also muster together a set of principles to live by that gives you the best chance at fulfilling that purpose. for whatever it's worth. Just as Dawkins admitted that, and any intellectually honest atheist will affirm, there is no good or evil in the materialist worldview. And since morality requires an objective point of reference to inform behavior, the materialist moral code is empty.
There's no rules! Put your shirt back on! There's one rule!
Now, in practice, atheists generally default to a sort of utilitarian reasoning that outlines what counts as proper behavior in a society. So in order for humans to flourish or be happy, it behooves humans to be humane. This, in spite of there being no reason why human flourishing or happiness even matters. Some atheists try to claim a Darwinian evolutionary origin to what we regard as relatively universal moral standards across human cultures. But the science of evolution can only explain what is and not what ought to be. And because morality lives in the realm of the ought tos, it cannot be reliably derived from evolutionary history. Besides that, the idea of evolved morals means that standards of ethical behavior are in a state of continuous change. That makes it impossible to evaluate the morality of the past, consider whether the morality we currently hold is sufficient, or determine what the morality of the future could or should be. As of yet, no atheist of note has come up with a comprehensive philosophical basis for any of it. In other words, there's no reason for the materialist to be good, because good doesn't exist. Where am I going when I die? Just as everything in the universe sprang from nothingness, according to materialism, after the microscopic blip of time that is human existence, it is to nothingness we ultimately return. And in an equally small fraction of the lifespan of the universe, everyone who knew you will disappear as well, making your entire life totally inconsequential. Worse yet, there is no afterlife and therefore no judgment. So whether you were a Stalin in life or a Mother Teresa, we're all bound for the same fate, further driving home the point of how fruitless it all is. As I've gone over the major elements of the atheist materialist worldview, I've been evaluating it like any other set of truth claims by looking at its coherence, how all the pieces logically fit together, and its correspondence, looking at how it relates to the reality of our collective observations and experiences. In theory, materialism is generally coherent. The answers to the four questions work together, but with two major dilemmas. First is the fact that it logically leads to nihilism.
There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more. You're just another tiny, momentary speck within an indifferent universe.
If we come from nothing, we'll return to nothing, and nothing we do in between matters, then we're only left with the pursuit of whatever fleeting moments of satisfaction we can grind out of life in whatever way possible. Under that rubric, people like Mao Zedong and Pol Pot, though they are two of the greatest mass-murdering tyrants of the 20th century, could be considered among the most successful people in history, having died peacefully of old age after having amassed absolute power and wealth. Interestingly, they are among history's most notorious atheists. The second major dilemma is that this worldview, with its insistence that there is no immaterial aspect to reality, cannot account for the immaterial things that we know are real. While the brain can be pinned down as a bunch of neural connections operating through electrical impulses, the mind, the seat of emotion, will, your sense of self, is at its essence immaterial. Ideas themselves, as the products of the mind, are equally immaterial. So the idea that all of reality is material fails its own test, because the idea itself is the immaterial product of an immaterial entity. Feel free to replay this part a couple times, I won't judge.
I'm thinking, thinking, thinking. It's
not happening with him.
By my assessment, materialism demands that we eliminate the notions of justice or good and evil as artificial constructs, that we ignore the thousands of years of history that support them and our innate awareness that they do exist. It demands that we accept our pitiful place in the universe as a collection of atoms of no more ultimate significance or consequence than bacteria. It tells us that amidst all the suffering, carnage, and death humanity endures, there is no hope. And it does so predicated on the idea that the same brains that evolution supposedly made to believe in nonsense like love, beauty, and eternity are trustworthy enough to declare them all as illusions. Well, sorry, but I just don't have enough faith to be an atheist. Tell me what you think of this video. What do you think about my analysis of materialism? What is your worldview based on? Discuss in the comments. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, and share for more videos on religion, culture, and politics. That's all for today. This is St. John the Philosopher. Goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you in another video.